Hello again, this is Laura. I'm the CEO of VMV Hypoallergenics. We're here to save the world's skin by making the safest, most proven effective care on the planet. And today I'm going to be talking to you about something that tends, I think, to embarrass people, but is actually rather manageable, which is excessive sweating, particularly in the armpits, hyperhidrosis, and bromhidrosis, which is foul odor that is associated with hyperhidrosis. Before I get into that, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. We have a great blog, vmvinskin.com, that has loads of skintel as well that you might find helpful. And we have a weekly live stream where you can ask us your questions live and get answers right away. And if you would like to shop any of our products, you can do so at vmvhypoallergenics.com internationally and vmvhypoallergenics.ph in the Philippines, where we're also on Viber. We're here to save the world's skin by making the safest, most proven effective care on the planet. How we assure that is basically by allergen omission. We omit or remove as many as possible or all of the top contact allergens as published by independent specialists in contact dermatitis. And we have the validated hypoallergenic rating system, which is the VH rating system, which you can see right there. VH, validated hypoallergenic. And it's like a simple grading system, a little bit like an SPF in that it's quickly visible. You can see it right away. And the higher the number, the better. The more allergens are omitted from a formulation. It's in all of our products. It says so right there, and you can see it right away. If a product were to contain an allergen or two, the VH rating would be lower, like VH 108 or 107, and it would have an asterisk. And it would correspond to the ingredients list where the allergen would be marked by an asterisk and underlined, so you can quickly see if it is one of the allergens that you patch tested positive for. It is highly unlikely you'll patch test for all 109 top contact allergens. So if it turns out, for example, it's vitamin E, which is a wonderful antioxidant, and it did not pop up in your patch test results, then yeah, you can still use the product. The VH rating system has proven so effective that we have a clinical study published in one of the leading contact dermatitis peer-reviewed journals in the world showing less than 0.1% reactions in over 30 years. So very, very safe. And going back to that study, how we prove efficacy is by publishing our clinical study. So we have quite a bit of randomized double-blind clinical trials and other research that are published in peer-reviewed medical journals, largely and thanks to my mother, who is our founding dermatopathologist, who herself has hundreds to her name. Getting started, hyperhidrosis is excessive sweating. Really, really sweating. Dripping sweat, right? And it can be in the armpits, but also the backs of the thighs, on the butt, the arms, the palms of the hands, and the soles of the feet. Typical things that would make you sweat, like heat or spicy food or strong emotions, will cause excessive sweating, but with hyperhidrosis, you don't even need that trigger. You could be in the cold in the middle of winter and actually quite cold and still experience dripping sweat. I have hyperhidrosis. It's fairly mild and fairly limited areas, but definitely in the cold, I wouldn't stop sweating. I would still sweat a lot. Hyperhidrosis, if you have it, can be caused by many things, including thyroid issues, certain health concerns, something with your hormones. If it's completely unrelated to any other medical condition, which you should rule out, so make sure that you tell your doctor about it. Hyperhidrosis can still be a real pain because, and again, I have, a mild case. Some of the pain is social. I remember shopping for shirts and really checking the fabric in the armpits to see if it would show wetness because I knew I would just sweat straight through it. Also, it ruins fabric. That much sweat, so much of it. And then there's the awkwardness of social interactions, feeling really embarrassed about shaking someone's hand because your hands are so sweaty and clammy. And with excessive sweating, there is the risk of a foul odor developing just because of the amount of sweat that's being produced, and that would be bromhidrosis. getting into bromhidrosis, we have to break down a little bit the different types of sweat glands that we have. So this perceived bad smell, if it occurs in the underarms, would be apocrine bromhidrosis, and if it's occurring in other parts of the body, probably eccrine bromhidrosis. And those words are our sweat glands, the sweat glands that are at play for those different types of bromhidrosis. So eccrine glands are actually everywhere in the body, but they're most numerous in the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. And in the heat, humidity, we produce more of it, and it tends to be fairly clear and light and odorless unless there's a presence of bacteria or with certain medical conditions. And that will be important to discuss a little bit later when we talk about how to manage these conditions. Apocrine glands are more numerous in the groin, underarms, the breasts. They produce pheromones, and they tend to be thicker. And the sweat that apocrine glands produces tends to be thicker, and it starts out odorless, but the odor develops as bacteria break down the sweat. We live with bacteria. We have healthy bacteria all over our bodies, but in some cases, there's either too much of a certain kind or a bit of an imbalance, or you just have what you have. It's when the bacteria breaks down the sweat that we start getting the odor. Specifically, the odor comes from bacteria that breaks down the sweat, and it's from the fatty acids and the ammonia in that breakdown process that we get that odor. How to manage hyperhidrosis and bromhidrosis. If all you have is hyperhidrosis, the main thing really is to get that sweat under control. We sweat all over, so using an antiperspirant that prevents sweating from the armpits is not a problem. You have follicles and sweat glands all over, so you will get rid of the sweat that you need to get rid of all over the body. Plus, we don't excrete toxins through our armpits. Whatever toxins that we actually have in the body would be excreted through, say, the kidneys and waste, right? So using an antiperspirant with aluminum chlorhydrate, which is a very effective active ingredient, and it is safe. The concerns about aluminum being linked to Alzheimer's or breast cancer really being unfounded, either based on incomplete data or studies that have since been debunked. I'll put a link there to the statement from the American Cancer Society, for example. But yeah, so an antiperspirant, a good one like Essence Skin Saving Antiperspirant. This particularly I use daily, and yeah, it's excellent. It really, really, really works and really, really keeps you dry, to the point that this nozzle gets clogged frequently. So when you use it, I told my kids when they started using it, after you spritz, you scratch to make sure, because they're drying crystals, right? So the liquid actually dries into a crystal form. If it gets really, really clogged up, you remove this thing and you run warm water through it. And if it gets completely clogged up, either we can send you a replacement, or what I do personally is I just unscrew the whole thing and I pour a small amount on my hands and I apply it by hand. So Essence Skin Saving Antiperspirant is definitely a wonderful option. It is allergen free. It is extremely good at controlling sweat. In the United States, that would be the Stay Freshener, right? Very similar. You can actually spray it on your underarms, but also on your chest, on your back, on the backs of your legs. It's great to stay fresh. It's a stay fresh and after all. So it's great to kind of apply wherever you feel that you need a little bit of freshening up. Under the bra line, on the soles of the feet for your shoes. It's pretty cool. And if you need more control, and this is a bit banged up, so I apologize because it's regularly in use, the Illuminance Axolite Antiperspirant, which is also active ingredients for lightening. So this is actually an active treatment for underarm darkening, axillary hyperpigmentation, which can occur from allergens in your laundry soap, or an allergic reaction to certain fabrics and dyes and things, which is a different topic. But so it's great to lighten underarms. You do have to start it more slowly because of the actives. So people who start on this usually get both products, use this on the days that you're not using Axolite, and then use Axolite. And Axolite is actually a higher concentration of aluminum chlorhydrate, so it's even more drying than Essence. And why we use aluminum chlorhydrate instead of aluminum zirconium? Aluminum zirconium has been shown to form granulomas, which are bumps in the armpits. And these two products do not contain scent. And that's actually really, really important. And I will get to that later. But for now, I will say the nice thing about using these products is they're extremely drying, and they will not cause you to itch or develop another reaction that can actually worsen stuff down there to deal with between itching and redness and hyperpigmentation. That's how, we normally recommend to deal with hyperhidrosis. For bromhidrosis, it would be very similar to hyperhidrosis with some key differences. The first being a bit more attention to hygiene, making sure you wash the area very, very well 2 to 3 times a day. That is not to say to use harsh disinfectants or harsh detergents or harsh soaps and cleansers that have antimicrobials in them. You don't need that. But you do need to make sure you wash 2 to 3 times a day. We'd recommend Essence Skin Saving Super Wash, right, on the area because it's allergen free and gets the area really, really clean without harming the skin or the natural microbiome that we have. Or Essence Clear and Clean soap. If you have an existing irritation or very, very sensitive skin in the area, you can try Essence Skin Saving Clark Wash. Or, even more gentle, Grandma Mini Coo and Clean Baby Wash, right? And so you would wash the area very, very well. I mean, don't scrub it, but just wash it very well, about 3 times a day. Then we have to pay attention a little bit to some control of the bacteria. But again, we don't want to use harsh detergents and antimicrobials that can offset the balance. So we'd recommend, same thing you do for hyperhidrosis, either the Essence Skin Saving Antiperspirant or the Illuminance Axolite or the Stay Freshener, right? And on top of that, though, you would apply Id Monolaurin Gel, right? Just to try to lessen this overrunning of bacteria that is there and help control odor. And the nice thing about Id Gel is you can keep it with you. We have a travel-sized version of this, and you can reapply throughout the day as often as you need it. Same actually as the Stay Freshener. You could reapply throughout the day. You can reapply both throughout the day. I've done that. Certainly when I've been, really, really active and it's been really, really hot, I'll find a time and find a quiet moment and sort of reapply the antiperspirant or the Stay Freshener and the Id Monolaurin Gel. Kid gloves is another option as well if you don't have Id Monolaurin Gel handy, because the monolaurin is the key thing. And the nice thing about monolaurin is it's a really effective coconut-derived, non-allergenic, broad-spectrum antimicrobial, but because our bodies recognize it as native, remember breast milk is 18% monolaurin if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't mess up our healthy natural bacteria. Why it is so crucial that you use a soap or body wash and you use a sweat control or freshening product in the areas that is unscented. There are a few reasons. Number one, scent, fragrance, even masking fragrance. These are top contact allergens. So you really increase the risk of developing itching or redness or rashes and hyperpigmentation, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which is a darkening of the areas after an inflammation or after a reaction. The second reason, though, is really interesting because it sounds a little counterintuitive. You would seem to want something that smells nice to counteract the smell of the bacteria breaking down the sweat. But the truth of the matter is a really common cause of bromhidrosis is the interaction of that smell of the breakdown of the sweat, the fatty acids and ammonia with the scent that's in a product. Scent can affect us in different ways too. So it's actually safer to use an unscented product on the area for washing, for staying fresh, for staying dry, than to use something that is heavily perfumed. Another thing that can be done for hyperhidrosis is to get Botox injections, interestingly enough, on the armpits or even on the palms of the hands or soles of the feet. I've done that when my hyperhidrosis really got so bad that even the antiperspirant was not enough to deal with it. And the nice thing about getting Botox injections is they last quite a bit. So maybe the first round of injections will last, I don't know, 3 months or so. And then when you go in for your second treatment, it could go up to 6 months or 9 months, and then eventually once a year. And I haven't had Botox injections in the axillary area for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years now, and I just use Essence Skin Saving Antiperspirant or the Essence Stay Freshener. Another thing that can be helpful is hair removal. So if you were going to have, say, waxing, just be careful because the heat is inflammatory, and if you are brown skinned, it might cause hyperpigmentation, so watch that, and photoallergens and other things that you use, either soaps or laundry or allergenic materials in your clothing in this area. If you're going to get waxed, then apply Red Better Calm the Heck Down balm and ice immediately after. Same applies if you're going to get laser hair removal. Make sure if you're mixed race like I am, if you're brown skin, I'm on the paler side of brown skin, deeper skin tones, make sure you go to someone who has experience dealing with a lot of hyperpigmentation, because laser can tend to cause hyperpigmentation in us. So be careful when you get your laser hair removal, that you go to someone who's a specialist in dealing with your skin tone and hyperpigmentations. If you are very, very pale, make sure you go to a specialist for someone with your skin tone, because sometimes it doesn't work. It won't remove the hair. Point being, depilatory regular hair removal can actually help reduce the sweat and reduce the odor, because the bacteria build up. There's no place for the bacteria to build up or for the sweat to stay and, stick around and become a welcoming environment for the bacteria to sit there and grow and feed and break down the sweat. So that's kind of the breakdown of hyperhidrosis, excessive sweating, and bromhidrosis, which is foul odor that is sometimes associated with excessive sweating. We do have what I just spoke about, a lot of these tips too, in an article on vmvinskin.com on skintimate problems, stuff that you might be embarrassed to ask about but shouldn't. So there's other great info on there, so check it out. And otherwise, don't forget to share this with someone if you think that it might be helpful to them. Leave your comments and questions, because we really appreciate that, and we go through comments and questions religiously. And let us know what else you'd like to learn about. Besides our blog, you can get a lot of helpful information. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I will see you next time. Do let us know what else you'd like us to cover, and stay healthy and stay safe and stay fresh and have a skintastic day.